Hello everyone, this is the recording for week 2. This week your required reading is chapter 3 and 4. There's a typo, it says 4 and 5, but you want to read 3 and 4. The discussion is on HTML tables and the week 2 assignments on style paragraphs, heading, lists, and images. So the week 2 discussion, you're to answer the questions, identify ways HTML tables can be used to affect the overall layout and appearance of a web page, identify a website that uses tables, and point out how they are used effectively in the design. The initial post is due on Wednesday. Remember, you need at least one APA formatted reference, and you need 3 replies by Sunday. The week 2 assignment is found on page 179 under Extend Your Knowledge in chapter 4 of the textbook. You are to modify an existing website, Ski04, found in the Extend folder of the data files that you downloaded in week 1. So they're for chapter 4. And if you look at the Extend, in the Extend files, you'll see that there are 4 documents. You're to submit all 4 of those documents, but you'll only be editing 2 of them. The style sheet and the HTML file. Okay, in the header section, you are to add a link tag. So let's look at the original website. Oh, this is the original, and you're going to make it look like this. So if we go to Notepad and we look at our HTML file. So if we look at the HTML file, you're to add the link here. This links it to the external style sheet, which is called, well, mine says Styles 04 Solution, but yours is just going to say Ski Styles 04.css. And you're going to add it to your HTML file. So if you look at your HTML file, there is no link where mine has a link. So that's the first thing that you're going to do. So it's in the header section and it's given to you, and then you're going to save that HTML, preview it in the browser. The reason you do that is to make sure you didn't make an error, that it still opens correctly. Nothing's going to be changed too much yet because we haven't really modified it. We haven't modified it that much, so all we've done is add the link. So next, you're going to open your Ski Styles the style sheet, the CSS file. You're going to add comments. So for instance, looking at that file when we first open it, it doesn't have any comments in it. So you need to add those comments. And the comments are shown in step 4. Make sure you're making them comments. See how the comment shows up in green? If you don't do the code right, then you're going to have errors. Then you're going to format the headings using H1, H2, and H3. This code should follow the right margin code, which is toward the bottom. Let's see. No, let's go to, what did I do with that one? So you see, you see that when you have your original file, it doesn't have anything after right margin, and that's where you're going to add your H1, H2, and H3, and it gives you the code, and and you put that in. Then step 6, you save the style sheet and then refresh the browser to make sure the change occurred. So you do that after each one. You want to save, refresh, and make sure the changes that you make are showing up. Otherwise, you're not going to know where you have an error, and it's a lot harder to check. Then in step 1, you're going to modify the one I content in the nav section so that the list doesn't have bullets. You're also going to modify that section so that it appears on the same line. Now the first part goes after the H1, 2, and 3 section. The next one, make sure you put that display in line inside the bracket or the brace, and that's the brace that I'm talking about. Step 10, you're going to modify the nav section to have a light blue background, and this goes after the 1I section, and here's the code. In step 11, make sure the heading that starts with children's lessons does not float to the right of the image by clearing the float of that element, and add the following attribute to the opening H3 tag, and it's called class equals clear float. Then in step 4, you're going to add an attribute pair to the H3 tag that marks the children's lesson heading clear float. So it's like you have to do it in both of them. Then in step 13, you're going to add padding to the header section. So you're going to delete the header in the header nav content footer selector. And then immediately below the nav number content footer selector, you're going to create a style for the header. So here's the style. That's going to add padding. Step 14 adds tabs, spaces, and extra lines. And what that does, if you look at this Notepad++ file, adding tabs makes it easier to read. If you have it all lined up along here, it's harder to tell what the sections are. And that's why it's telling you to do that. Then you're going to validate the CSS file. So you go to this website and you fix any errors that it identifies. And what it does is it tells you what line it's on. So if you have an error in line 8, it's going to tell you that, and that's how you figure out what errors you have. Then you're going to validate your HTML web page using the same thing and correct any errors that might be in that page. You're going to submit all 4 files. So all of these files that you have in Extend and the 2 that you modified plus the image and the legal file, you're going to submit all those. And the reason is I have those 2 files, but I want you to get used to always submitting everything required for your web page so that anytime I open your folder and open a web page, everything's there. The images, whatever files you need. And that's why I want you to get used to that, because that's important that you have all the files needed. Now there is a step 19. If we go over to this, it's talking about having the background color only listed once. Now I'm not requiring you to do that step. If you want to do it, it's a good thing to get used to doing, but it's not required for this particular assignment. I'm not requiring that. So once you submitted all those files, then you're good to go. If you have any questions or if you're confused or having trouble figuring out how the code goes, let me know. That's all I have for this time.